What is good, guys? We are back with episode 3 of the TQL Wrestling Podcast. Hopefully, you guys have enjoyed the first 2 episodes. There's been a lot of wrestling news going on lately. It's been a lot of news this week between Vince and Mandy Rose and Sasha Banks, and just a lot going on. So we'll be talking about all that today. So, Tears and QJ, how are y'all doing? Are y'all looking forward to this episode today?
And this is gonna be interesting because majority of the time I'm only hearing about like 2 days ago.
Yeah,
I'm excited for what to come.
yeah. There's a lot to get into. So we're gonna start with Mandy Rose, and it's been a lot of opinions about
Point.
Mandy Rose, and Sean Sapp's not a couple days ago. She got released, and she had a really good title reign in NXT. 413 days as NXT Women's Champion, the third longest reign behind Asuka and Baszler, I believe. So she was champion for a really long time. She lost to Roxanne Perez, who, by the way, is the future of that company. She's really good. Check her out. 413 days. The match was supposed to happen in January, but they moved it to December, which is very weird. Roxanne beat her. Next morning, Mandy Rose is released. And the report is that WWE officials felt they were put in a tough position based on the content she was posting on her fan time page. They felt like it was outside the parameters of her WWE deal. So, Tiers, I'm going to start with you. Is WWE in the right to release Mandy Rose? Do you think they should have talked to her and said, you know what, could you cool it with this a little bit? What is your thoughts on the whole Mandy Rose release from WWE?
So, for clarification, what was she posting on her site thing, picture thing,
Uh,
whatever it's called again?
Bikini pics. They said there was a few nude pics. It's kind of like OnlyFans, but it's her own website.
Ah,
And
okay.
yeah, apparently what she posted hurt WWE's relationship with Mattel, which is their action figure company they work with. So that's
Yeah,
clarification
it's
there.
Mattel.
Yeah.
Okay, well, first of all, I gotta say, like, now that we say that, how many people you think is going to be going to Google for research purposes now?
Oh, there's gonna be a lot. And she was making more money doing this than her whole WWE deal. Keep that in mind.
That I did not know. Um, I don't think it's the worst thing to be fired for. However, we also got to keep in mind WWE is a PG advertisement needs to be friendly company. So, on one hand, I personally don't think one should be fired for this. On the other hand, it's a WWE thing to where like it kind of makes sense why they would have to release her for that. Because let's look at USA, look at Fox, and plus look at Mattel. Like they can't really market somebody showing the goodies that we all know it to be as. So I'm going to have to say I personally don't agree with it being firing, but it's very. It was like a what's the word I'm looking for? Easy reason for them to release her or fire her, whichever you want to say it as.
Yeah, it's definitely. I mean, I heard reports she knew she could get in trouble for this. I mean, she had a pretty clear idea that she could get fired for doing this.
Okay, well if she knew she can get fired, then that's definitely on her more than anything. But if you, like you said, like if she's making more money doing that than wrestling, which, in my opinion, it's kind of sad. But on both the her having to do that to make money and people giving her the money to do it. Um, but hey, if she figured like she's making more money doing that than doing wrestling, then it makes sense why she would just keep on doing it, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, that's
Yeah,
my
I mean,
viewpoint.
yeah, that's some good points. I mean, I get it. I mean, she's making a main roster contract money, which is kind of crazy. She's making more money from that than more than a main roster contract. Kind of shows how some of them are underpaid at WWE or in wrestling in general, are overpaid compared to other athletes. But
Let's not forget that she was a main roster person for a while, so that
hmm
definitely does say more too.
yeah, she was making main roster money and everything. It's like,
And plus, like, she was NXT champion, and she was making more money doing photos than being the champion of NXT.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy. I mean,
Maybe we'll see a report on more intel about this, and we'll see like either we'll see how much people are actually getting paid, and be like more news about this. Like maybe there was something we don't know about.
yeah, that definitely could be the case because there has been a lot more reports getting out day by day. I mean, it just depends who's leaking it. There's been different sides of the story. There's been reports that there's been a mutual part of ways, that WWE fired her, that she knew she was going to get fired. There's all types of stuff going out there, so no one really knows what's truly going on. But QJ, what about you? What's your thoughts on this whole Mandy Rose situation?
My thoughts on it is, well, it's kind of sad that it's like the era we in, the OnlyFans era. Sad they could make more money doing that, and like I said, she's been in WWE for a while, so I feel she should be making a good amount. But like you said, she did know, but I don't know. I mean, I think they should have just talked to her about it because I have a feeling half of these divas back there are doing something like that on the side, and they're probably just keeping it on the low. But I say they should just talk to her about it first, and then just give her a little bit warning, even though she knew, but still, I don't know.
Yeah, WWE.
Tough situations we in nowadays. Is just kind of sad. I could do, you, he could, she could do that, make way more money than she has in WWE content. Knowing how much WWE's worth, how much, but you pay Reigns all this money, but you can't pay certain people. Too much favoritism there.
Well, keep in
Um,
mind, it's like WWE's kind of like Disney, to where like yeah, it's the biggest company of its like genre, but it can still treat its workers like not even worth the amount of money that
hmm
other properties can have, because they're mostly like on merchandise, movie deals, and all that jazz. So the fact that they don't pay, they underpay the roster, considering what else they make money on, kind of makes sense, because gotta make, like, how much money do they make with the Mattel deal too, compared to a wrestler being on TV?
Oh, they probably make a good
Tons.
amount.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So that's my point of view, to where like WWE is one of those companies I can see like being where like they don't value the wrestlers as much as they do the marketing.
Yeah, it all just
Yeah.
depends.
I say she just keep doing what she's doing and take it from there. That's pretty much my viewpoint.
Yeah, I mean, they have said the AEW would be interested. Impact's already said they would definitely be interested. So, I mean, she's definitely going to have offers from the outside. I mean, both those companies could use her. I mean, she's not bad in the ring. I mean, a lot of fans don't really like her in ring. I mean, I don't really think she's that bad compared to a lot of others. I mean,
I don't
It's pretty good.
mind. I don't
yeah.
mind it, but I just feel like AEW is not gonna fit her style, and Impact, it's kind of give those who always say negative stuff about Impact more reason to keep saying it.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. I mean, she's definitely a valuable women's wrestler to have. It's just, I mean, maybe she ends up returning to WWE when her website kind of hits the fan. I mean, usually when you're not on TV for a good amount of time, your fan base will start declining. So maybe she loses a lot of her fans and
It could
says
also
she
grow
want to come
bigger.
back. That too. I mean, if she goes to AEW, which is on national TV, she might, because a lot of the it's weird because a lot of AEW fans don't watch WWE and a lot of WWE fans don't watch AEW. So I mean, if she goes there, yeah, like you said, she might grow even more fans on it.
But once again, it's about the marketing. Like, how much value as a wrestler do you think she has compared to what these companies need to make money as well?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it just depends how a company views her.
Think of it like a weird Tessa Blanchard type situation, to where like, is her name a detriment to the brand?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I mean, Tessa Blanchard pretty much got blackmailed from the business because of a lot of stuff that went on with her and Mandy. I mean, it seems like a lot of people like her. It's just,
I don't think what Mandy Rose is doing is bad personally, but I can see like big company, maybe what's a maybe the smaller companies that don't have TV deals that we don't really know about that much can definitely will pick her up without a hesitation, because they don't have that marketing deals that require that much protection.
Yeah, like one of them, like minor companies or something. Yeah, I could see that. I mean, she definitely will be fine money wise and finding a job. I mean, she ain't gonna be struggling by any means. So she
Then
definitely.
again, we don't know her like living expenses anyway, too. So
Yeah, I mean, she's engaged now to what was his name? Tino Sabatelli, I think it was his name in NXT. She's engaged to
really,
him. Yeah, they're engaged now. So
I completely forgot about that too.
yeah, he was in AEW for a little bit, and then he was in NXT for a little bit. Yeah, Mandy Rose's situation is a very interesting one. It's definitely it was trending online. Rehire Mandy Rose or something like that. I mean, a lot of fans are really on her side in this. They don't really think she should have been fired. I mean, I guess it just depends on what side of the fence you're on with it. I mean, it could go from a business perspective. I get it because WWE, like you said, has a lot of sponsorships, a lot of deals with companies, and a lot of companies don't want that kind of person representing a brand. So I mean, I can kind of get it from a certain perspective. So the next topic is going to be about another woman in the wrestling business who's been making headlines a lot lately, and we're going to be talking about Sasha Banks. And it's been said that she ain't returned to WWE, that she's done. They had discussions. She wanted Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair money. WWE told her, we don't see you on that level. We do not see you being a main event star in the next 5 years, or you've already reached your peak. So, QJ, I'm going to start with you. What do you think is next for Sasha? And do you agree with WWE saying she's not going to be on Charlotte or Becky's level money wise, and that she's not going to be any more of a bigger star than she already is in the next 5 years? What's your take on that?
My take on that is WWE, they don't understand that woman has done everything for that business, and she's damn sure on that level with Becky and Charlotte. Let's take it back to NXT with her and Becky's still probably one of the best matches till this day. Greatest
Oh
one
yeah,
matches
her
of
and
all
Bailey,
time.
yeah, yeah, Iron Woman.
I mean
Yep.
Bayley, sorry, yeah, of all time. I said Becky.
Her and Becky was good
uh,
too. Definitely was good too.
It just wasn't his
right,
biggest marketing, too.
Facts.
but yeah, I mean, man, I feel she should just go to AEW. Just offer her more because she's worth more, and WWE even saying that in their brains, they should know that she can still carry that company for a longer period of time. It was kind of sad, but he just got to do what's best for her. Maybe she'll get into movies. Who knows? Let's go from there.
And she is in The Mandalorian.
Yeah, I was about to say
Hmm.
that. Yeah, she isn't a Mandalorian. I
She didn't
mean,
have a single line in it, but still.
nah, she's still had a badass character nonetheless. But I mean, there has been a report that came out. By the time I post this, probably be a week. That said some in WWE believe Sasha will be back eventually. I know she's going to New Japan to do some stuff and Stardom. I think she's facing Kairi Sane in Japan, if I'm not mistaken. That match has been
New
talked
Japan
about.
and Stardom are not the same thing, by the way.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying I know she's going to New Japan to do something, and she's going to Stardom to do something. Pretty much, like she's going to both those companies to do something. But
Well, the reason I say that because New Japan doesn't have a female wrestling division.
yeah, they might just have her appear or something like that. But
Just to clarify for the audience so they know that we know.
yeah. I mean, WWE. I mean, listen, Sasha's. I mean, you could argue Becky and Charlotte are bigger household names than Sasha, but I mean, I'd put Sasha right up there with them in that category. I mean, she's one of the biggest stars. I mean, in the women's division they've ever had. I mean, I don't. I mean, she's younger than both of them too. I mean, them saying she's hit her prime already. I mean, she's not even 35 yet. Becky and Charlotte are both, I think, 35 or close to 35. Charlotte's 37. So I mean, she's younger than all the four horsewomen. I would think she'd be the one they want to keep the longest because she's in her prime and kind of the youngest in the group. I mean, I don't really get what the perspective is from that. Not saying WWE can't move on without Sasha. They have tons of women in NXT. They have tons of women on the main roster they can build up. But it just don't make sense to me why they
I
wouldn't want to give her that money.
I think it's because of like the type of matches that they need her to do and how I can't think of a different word for it at the moment. Injury drawn she seems to be with those type of matches as well. I think they're just thinking of it like longevity, like you were wanting them to, and they just don't see how she can handle as long as those two have, which is kind of like that's a bit of a potato type situation, considering we've seen like what kind of injuries Charlotte's had, and we've seen how Becky reacts to her injuries. So I guess I gotta say like that as a perspective to where like you gotta think of what kind of matches would they put her in, and would the fanfare still be in there for her matches as long as it has for like Becky and I guess Charlotte's.
Yeah, I could agree with them. I mean, Sasha has been hurt. That was Vince's problem with her. Is she was always hurt. That's why he didn't really push her as much as she probably wanted to be pushed. I mean, guess it just depends, honestly, what Sasha really wants to do necessarily. I mean,
Well, it seems like she definitely wants to still wrestle.
yeah, she seems like she's still interested. I mean, this ain't really the exact quote she said on Stone Cold's podcast, but when she was talking to Stone Cold, she said, "I'm not just gonna be here and be that person that's happy to be here, and you pay me garbage money, and I'll just smile and take whatever y'all give me. I think I'm one of the best. I deserve to be treated like one of the best." And it sounds like she really meant what she was saying with that. So, I mean, Tears, what do
Definitely
you
agree.
think? Yeah, like, definitely agree with her on that. So, Tears, what do you think's next for Sasha? Do you think AEW for a little bit? Do you think
I think
Stardom?
there's a higher chance of AEW than Stardom because of like the it just being easier to go to AEW. Not saying like anybody could just show up in AEW and like they're good. I just think it's easier to be a AEW female wrestler right now than going all the way to Japan to Stardom to be a wrestler there. Um, but I've been seeing some stuff on the side too about Sasha, and it kind of doesn't point her in a positive light though. And I'm talking about her fan interaction stuff to where like I've seen stuff and I could be wrong about this, but literally like fans sometimes have to be like 3 or 5 feet away from her just to take a picture that they even have to pay for as well.
Yeah, that's a true
I
statement. I've heard the same.
Right, and I'm just like thinking like moments like that, and plus like the stuff we've heard in the past about there. Yes, there are people who take it a little far on personal space too, but I'm not gonna. I don't want to take this out of proportions. I don't want people to think like I am saying this directly like this. But I feel like in certain companies she could wind up like how people are seeing CM Punk right now, to where like their attitude could really cause issues with the rest of the locker room. I think that's also probably a proponent to where like some people aren't really too mad of her leaving WWE. Like some, you don't hear a lot of females in the WWE roster really backing Sasha Banks of staying and saying like it's a shame and all that. I feel like her attitude could be a very major problem for future companies. I could be wrong. It could just be a pure work environment type thing, but I personally am going to have to go with she's probably going to need to clean up her attitude if she has one, and maybe take a couple more months off to get like that kind of vibe out of the fan base's system, and think about like how the fans want to see her as more of a competitor than just a dick on the screen.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you on that. I mean, I've heard a lot of things about her being difficult to work with. She's had a lot of run-ins with Vince and creative, and I mean, I don't know if it's Triple H telling her like, listen, I don't know if you're going to be able to handle this the next 5 years with your past and everything. I mean, she has had a lot of issues backstage, and I feel like she influenced Naomi to get herself in trouble. I mean, I'm not saying Naomi wasn't upset with her booking, but I feel like ever since Naomi started teaming up with Sasha, Sasha kind of influenced her to be like, you know what, screw WWE. And then it just kind of put Naomi in a bad spot because I mean, Naomi is always going to have a job there. She's married to one of the Usos. And I'm not saying Naomi just show up to work and smile and be happy she's there, but I mean, I think if Naomi came back, she'd be treated pretty well in WWE. They could even put her in the bloodline
Just
if they wanted to do
oh
that.
god,
But go ahead, Drew.
I was gonna say like, hey, I don't want to see that in Bloodline, but I could definitely see that happening if she was to come back. Maybe that's a good way to revamp her character because I was very tired of the Feel the Glow vibe.
Yeah, that was
Um,
terrible.
but it's just like I don't know, man. Like the whole her being younger, maybe that's also a thing to where like maybe she still had like that little bit of arrogance that a lot of the younger wrestlers talk about. Because we watch a lot of podcasts from like legends and stuff. One of them being a Dutch Mantel, and I think I recall him saying one time like the younger wrestlers are kind of thinking like they already know the business like that because they've been wrestling for like 5 years or so. I can't remember the exact wording, but it just seems like a lot of wrestlers today are just taking an ego trip over like a pride trip. And Sasha Banks is one of those people I feel like is kind of just like you are not really going to be helpful for a lot of people if you have this attitude.
Yeah, bad attitude don't really get you too far. I mean, she was. Let's see, she's 30
Think about
now.
some
I'm pretty
Aries.
sure. So I mean, when she faced Bailey, I mean, she was what 22, 22. I mean, she wasn't. She's just now getting old enough to drink. I mean, she's main eventing an NXT pay-per-view. I mean, it's pretty crazy, and she was on the main roster by 24, 25. So I mean, yeah, she was very young
Yes.
when she got
Yeah,
there.
speaking about that, I just realized something right here at the moment. Like, did anybody else hear anything about this attitude stuff until she was on the main roster? Like, I just realized that.
Nah,
I think
not
I heard
really.
Till on the main roster. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, that just caught me off guard now thinking about it. Like, do you think it's like a main roster thing? Like, okay, now I'm on the big screen, I'm on the main shows, I'm at WrestleMania potentially. And it's just like, do you think like maybe, them call ups kind of like influences people's like uh mentality?
I definitely think it could. I mean, you look at Enzo Amore. I mean, I
Ooh.
didn't really hear a lot about him in NXT, his attitude. But then they said he got on the main roster and he was acting kind of like a dick and kind of saying, I'm the star, I can talk, I'm the cruiserweight champion. Like, he legit thought all that backstage. Like, he was just the best in the cruiserweight division and everything. Like, I feel like a lot of, especially when Vince gives you his what's the word, like his stamp of approval, like, oh yeah, I like you, pal. They're like, oh, Vince likes me. I'm the best now. I'm cool and all that. Like, I
I'm
feel like it just,
untouchable.
yeah, that's how they act. I mean, yeah, it definitely could have an influence on a wrestler's mind of thinking. And maybe Sasha's always been like that, but she kind of got more,
Ahead of herself.
yeah, ahead of herself, outspoken on the main roster, and thought, I'm a four horsewoman. Only us should be important, which most of the time, unfortunately, that was the case before Belair started getting a big push. But
And maybe a lot of fans like supporting her as hard as they were had some influence in that because you can like with enough people like say nothing but positive stuff about you could potentially like fog up your perspective too.
oh yeah, definitely. But yeah, that's I don't know. I mean, that's a tough situation for Sasha. I mean, I think WWE will be fine without her. I mean, maybe she'll return in the future. We all know everybody eventually returns to WWE. Besides Randy Savage, there ain't a whole lot of wrestlers or women who have not returned to that company. So,
I mean, how many returns have we had for Hulk Hogan?
yeah, exactly. I mean, it's money talks at the end of the day, and WWE has
If
boatloads of money, and they might eventually budge and say, you know what, we want you back, or they might just say, you know what, we got a bunch of women like Cora Jade and Roxanne Perez who are younger. And I think I heard a rumor. I don't know if this is exactly about Cora Jade, but I did hear that they think she is the next Sasha Banks. So maybe in their mind, they're thinking, we have the next Sasha Banks here. It might not be Cora Jade. There's some woman in NXT they think the next Sasha that they have is like who's really young and stuff. They might think, well, we have a new version of you right here, so why would we need the old version of Sasha Banks when we have a new version down here in NXT?
that sounds so cruel, but that is the business.
Yeah, that's unfortunately how it is. Yeah.
Then again, like age doesn't really matter nowadays for a lot of wrestling, considering what we've seen with like Lita recently. We're not
Yeah, and
recently
Bobby
anymore, but
Lashley,
still.
and I mean Lashley's 47. You would not tell he's 47 by looking at him, bro. I mean,
Styles as well. Well,
yeah,
Styles is
Styles
an
45, I think.
interesting.
Yeah, Styles. I mean, guys have a lot longer careers in wrestling, for sure, depending on injuries. And Lashley, I mean, he's had a few injuries, but he's been healthy for most of his career, so he's had a long span. But yeah,
And
Sasha,
Sasha, unfortunately, is not healthy.
yeah, she's had a lot of minor injuries, unfortunately. And yeah, like you said, that might be what Triple H never thinking. Like, can you stay healthy if we give you a 5-year deal? I mean, that's definitely something to think about.
Yeah.
In other news, we won't spend too long on this topic, but Riddle got suspended. I heard about this. Apparently, that's why him and Rollins didn't happen at SummerSlam. He got his first wellness policy violation, and recently he got his second wellness policy violation, which Riddle's team or whatever apparently said that's not the case. He's dealing with a divorce. That's why he's taking time off. There's a bunch of different reports about it, but apparently it wasn't for marijuana. A lot of fans were thinking, oh, did they suspend Riddle for marijuana? Apparently WWE does not test for marijuana anymore, so Riddle does not have a problem in that department, but hopefully he gets clean. But Tears, I'll start with you. What's your thoughts on Riddle getting his second violation for the wellness policy?
If it's true, but just want to add that, or is it like 100% confirmed, considering what you said, what his team is saying?
It's WWE said it was that, but I think his team said it has to do with his divorce. But I mean, it might just be them trying to say that's not. I mean, I don't know. It's 50-50. I mean, he definitely got one policy violation. The second one's still debatable.
Okay. That's a weird one, because when he was first signed with WWE, didn't we hear that he was, whenever he had a violation, like with marijuana, that he just had to pay half of it with his contract?
Hmm.
And now the fact that it's now in more places around the country being legal to use marijuana, which is that deal kind of seems pointless now. So that's probably why they got rid of the marijuana testing, because most states approve of it. I'm more curious on what was the substance now. Like, what could Riddle, of all people, have a wellness policy issue at right now? I mean, like, yeah, I know most people say like it's Matt Riddle. Of course he had one. Look at his lifestyle. I'm just like, oh yeah, please elaborate. What could he have been had a problem with?
Cocaine, maybe. I mean, EC3. And I don't know if this was Riddle. I mean, a lot of fans might have heard about the EC3 and Velveteen thing. It was when they were on NXT. They said EC3 had a party, and they said a current member of the main roster at this time did cocaine. I'm not saying that's Riddle, but I could see him being a person who does cocaine. I mean, maybe it was him. That's just me speculating. It could have been someone
I'm not
else.
I'm not sure about that because Riddle was in NXT at the same time as those two.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was down there
Yeah,
with
so
EC3.
he can't be the main roster
No,
guy.
no, 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 no. They were saying like, because they were talking about this like 2 months ago. They were saying at the time this person's currently on the main roster, but at the time they were in NXT. That's what I meant.
Okay. Um, I don't know about that one. That could be, but it doesn't. He doesn't. It doesn't seem like, because if he didn't get fired or had any more wording from WWE about it, I don't really see it being something that's serious. It could be like alcohol, because that's considered in some areas a substance. It could be that. Could be a certain type of prescription medication. I don't know.
Yeah, there's a lot of possibility. I mean, maybe he's dealing with an injury and he was taking something like Kurt Angle said he used to take. I mean,
that's very highly a chance. Like it's
yeah, I
like
mean,
a very harsh medication.
yeah, that definitely could be the
Um,
case.
I don't think it's too big of a deal right now, but I don't know. If it was anybody else, I would say like it shouldn't be too much. But the fact that it's Riddle is like throwing me off because it's just like, what could it be with him that he has an issue with?
Yeah, I mean, he is going through a lot in his personal life. So I mean, maybe he just did something to take some of the stress off. I don't know. I mean, there's a big amount of chance, not a big amount, but like there's
Wait, you said he was going through a divorce earlier, right?
yeah, yep.
You see, now that's the worrying part. Now that I think about like, since I said alcohol and we're talking about medication stuff, now, now it's a worrying situation for me.
Yeah, because he said, or not he said, but yeah, him and his wife, and he has kids too, so there's a lot involved with that too as well.
Oh boy. Yeah,
So
I
QJ,
don't know.
you're pretty quiet right now. QJ, what's your thoughts on this whole Riddle wellness policy violation going on?
Uh, whatever he is going through, you gotta be careful.
Yeah, he definitely.
Put yourself in certain situations. So,
Yeah, because I mean, and I'm not saying Randy Orton. Randy Orton's had two violations himself, and I hope him not hanging out with Randy. And I'm not saying Randy does anything. I'm not saying that at all. But sometimes you get influenced on who you hang out with, and maybe him and Randy were hanging out. And
hmm
Randy, I mean, you never know. But
What we said earlier about Naomi with Sasha.
I mean, it could be the
yeah,
same scenario. I mean, Randy really shouldn't have been fired. He had three violations, and Vince was like, you know what, you're a big star. We'll let you off the hook. But
Then again,
I'm
how many
saying
violations has Jeff Hardy had?
yeah,
so
that's
many.
definitely true. Yeah, that's. I don't know. I mean, I hope Riddle gets good, and hopefully he's back. I mean, before
We could be
recently,
blowing this out of
yeah, we
proportions,
definitely
mind you.
could. It
You
might just
just
be
gotta take
something
some
minor.
time off,
Yeah, just take some time off.
relax.
It could just be like pains and stuff.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, that's what fans don't realize. Wrestlers go through such a grueling schedule, especially in WWE. I mean, you're on the road a lot. I mean, it's just
hmm
We all remember the old "Please don't try this at home" commercial. I
yeah,
tore
Right.
my
hmm
ACL 9
it's still in the
times.
game too when you're on the
Yeah,
road.
please don't try this at home.
Yeah, they weren't kidding. So speaking of WWE, final time we're going to be talking about Vince McMahon. There's been a lot of reports about Vince. The Wall Street Journal posted a report. New accusations are out against Vince, and apparently Vince wants to get back in charge, pal. That he wants to be back in charge of WWE. He wants to be running the show again. It's only been about 4 or 5 months since he stepped down, so he's already wanting to be back. Which I get it. He's been doing this his whole life, Vince. I get it.
hmm
When you're doing something your whole life and you just stop, it's like,
Ever
what
since
do
he
I
took
do?
it from his dad.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean,
hmm
it's a tough situation because I mean, Vince owns 80% of the company still, so I mean, it ain't like he's not involved with the company, but WWE has a bunch of advertisers and relationships, and if Vince want to get back in power, it could jeopardize a lot of their company, and then their stock prices dropped as soon as Vince said he might come back, so it's already affecting their stocks. So QJ, I'm gonna start with you. What is your thoughts on Vince potentially returning? Not saying it's gonna happen, but he does want to come back. What is your thoughts on that?
My thoughts on Vince returning. I don't need him stepping foot back in that company. And if these fools do let him come back, he need to be there. I don't want to hear him saying nothing. Just let Triple H run it. Cause look, he already got his wish satisfied. Reigns still champion. Still gonna be champion for a long time. So that's all he cared about when he was there. That's all we saw. Reigns. He was the big star. So I feel they smart. If these people are smart, let's keep him where he at right now. And if they do agree having him back, make sure he has nothing a part of any what's going on. Just keep it the way it is. I don't need him making people unrelevant and kind of ruining people's careers. So just keep it as that, and that's it. Leave it there.
Well, that's the only problem with Vince is if he comes back, you know he's gonna want to be in charge of creative. I mean, he's gonna want to be right back in that driver's seat, running everything. I mean, that's the unfortunate part about Vince is he's gonna want to do exactly what he did before, run everything his way, and it's just not a good idea. But I mean, even Cornette said, I mean, this is the Vince we all know. He ain't gonna just stand back and sit down forever. Even at 77 years old, he's been doing this his whole life. He's not gonna just not think about it or want to come back. I mean, I like Triple H's direction. I know some fans don't think there's much of a difference between him and Vince. It's the little things that you pay attention to that you see, like the U.S. title and Intercontinental titles being relevant. Them mentioning New Japan, them mentioning the Bullet Club, them mentioning Prince Puma, them mentioning other companies and their accomplishments in NXT. Just the little things, longer matches, better stories, more people being relevant. It's a lot of things that fans don't realize Triple H is trying to do. But if Vince came back, all that would just be washed down the drain. It'd be right back to the same old All About Rain show, and nobody else matters, and all these fans would sit on their ass and not react to anything, and it would just be unwatchable again. But Tears, what's your thoughts on Vince potentially returning to the company?
I don't see a good way to say this. I see it as a potential of it more than likely gonna happen, and he's going to have can trade it back. It's a scary thing, and from it seems like WWE was doing so good without him, like the hype of Triple H being in charge, got everybody back in, and then we hear that it's just like, oh no. And like the fact that we all went like that should tell you enough to where like, yeah, Vince McMahon has already had it to where like his name is not seen as a positive for WWE in general. So the fact that people are, like you said, the stockpile crash just for him saying like, "Hey, I want to take back control," that's not good enough. And then if we hear like, "Oh yeah, he is back in control," it's just like, well, the last couple of months are gonna probably mean nothing considering how we all know he cares about continuity. So I would have to say that we're like, well, you had a fun time, WWE, for trying to be relevant again, but you just can't beat an old fucking bastard.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, nobody in that company wants him back. I mean, I've heard reports and nobody wants him back. The
Nobody.
morale is good. Yeah, like nobody wants him
And
back.
if he do gets back, I need all of them to leave. Every single one of
A
them.
lot of them would want to. I mean,
And plus, let's not forget how many people Triple H got back into WWE. Now that we're
Mm-hmm.
hearing like Vince is
they've
coming
been
back,
fired.
how many of those people do you think are A, going to regret coming back, and B, how many people who haven't come back yet, who are thinking about coming back, now that they hear that Vince McMahon is wanting back in charge, how many do you think those people are going to be like, okay, maybe I shouldn't come back? Like, how many people do you think got stopped on coming back just from this rumor, this story alone?
Oh, it's a good amount. I mean, we saw what Vince did with guys like Cross. I mean, you would think, Karrion Cross, he's big, he's got the hot girl, he's athletic, he's got the physique Vince likes,
He's
he's got the
marketable.
character. Yeah, like everything Vince wanted, and Vince still didn't book him. So it's like, there's
His
a lot of
debut
people.
match
You're
while
gonna
NXT champion,
lose
he
to Jeff
lost to a
Hardy.
roll up to Jeff Hardy in how long?
Like under a minute, maybe 5 minutes. I don't even remember.
Get ready for that to come back.
No.
Don't need to
No.
know.
We're gonna have 2-minute squash matches.
No, no, no,
No.
no. 'Cause I like seeing guys I like Kevin Owens back to be
Exactly.
relevant, Ricochet back to be relevant.
I don't want you doing the stunner anymore.
Yeah, Vince would probably say
I don't.
that.
I don't need dream matches being ruined and everything.
Now
Yeah.
these are the matches you really want.
Let's do the same match 5 weeks in a row. Ricochet
Right.
against Strowman 5 weeks in a row.
These are the true stories.
I don't
Yeah.
need Reigns to keep dominating as usual.
I feel like that's why Vince wants back because he misses booking Reigns to be like the.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I mean, apparently Vince thought he took bad advice from people close to him, which
That that's a step in like admitting that what you were doing was trash.
yeah, I mean it's definitely a
Mm-hmm.
step forward. So here's the tweet Rebecca Ballhaus sent out on Twitter. Vince McMahon has also told people that he intends to make a comeback at WWE, saying he got bad advice from people close to him to step down, that he now believes the allegations and investigations would have blown over had he stayed. So do y'all agree with
No.
Vince's mindset on that? That it was
No,
just
no,
blown
no.
over?
No.
Nope.
No. It is not blown over even yet. Let's be
Nah.
honest.
He still has accusations against him right now. He's getting sued by
Mm-hmm.
Rhea Chatterton. I mean, I just feel like Vince just thinks everything's a joke. Like he's just this billionaire that everything will be good because he has all this money and he could just pay all these people off and like, oh yeah, I'll be good. Here's 10 million, here's 12 million, here's 15 million. Just be quiet and let me run my company. And that's pretty much what he was doing for years.
Yeah, but
in
your
that
company relies on there being a positive outlook from fans to keep buying your product.
Yeah. And he was using company funds to pay these people, which is
Company
not. You
funds.
cannot do
Isn't
that
that
as a public
isn't
traded
that
company.
Right.
isn't that embezzlement? Or am
Yeah,
I wrong?
I think
Mm-hmm.
so. If he was a private company, he could get away with that. But that's the thing that Vince. You're a public traded company. You cannot be doing stuff like that as a public
Anybody
traded
who
company.
knows this stuff, let me know in the comments. I actually am very curious.
Yeah, because I mean, he's. I don't know, Vince. I get it. You've done it your whole life, but it's time to move on. Go enjoy your retirement, your margaritas on the beach, or whatever the hell Vince likes to do. Just stay away from WWE. You know,
Exactly.
it's
Have your
just.
nice, have your dreams involve your incest angles that you seem to love.
Oh yeah, with Stephanie and Batista and all them weird angles he wants to do. Yeah.
Wait, what, Batista?
Well, didn't he want
What?
Batista to be like a rapist or something like that? I mean, I don't know if that's true, but that's one of
Oh
the
god, I
stories.
forgot about
Yeah. So,
that.
yeah,
You're
Vince
so...
had a lot of weird ideas over the years for sure with his
Oh my god.
storyline.
Well, then again, one of the people that he held close to him created the zombie for ECW, so
Oh yeah,
let's not
Bruce
forget that.
Pritchard, because he thought zombies would be good, pal.
I don't I still don't understand that to this day.
Yeah, Vince. I don't. I don't know. A lot of their ideas, it might seem good to them, but the audience has not liked it. But there's always going to be the WWE fans, and I guess I can throw myself in there. I always watch WWE, good or bad. And sometimes out of habit, that even if Vince did come back, there'd be fans who just keep watching because they're just
Hmm.
WWE fans. But yet, for the
You throw your
wrestlers,
name
yeah.
into that. I do have to throw my name as one of those people, though, who is just like, this type of stuff does cause me to just leave and drop out.
Oh, I get that as well. Yeah, there's a lot of silly shit that you just go, yeah, I can't do this no more.
It's just painful more than sad.
Yeah, especially when you try to do the LA Knight. And now Triple H is actually letting him be LA Knight, and he's over his hell with the crowd. But Vince was like, let's make you a maximum male model member and have you just lead this garbage group. And yeah, it's just, I don't know. I mean, I feel like if Vince does come back, a lot of them people are just going to get fired again or just buried to the end of time, and you forget they're
Hmm.
even there again. And
Bad for business.
yeah, that's not good business. But Vince don't give a damn because it's Vince McMahon. So the only person to be happy is guys like Brock, Cena, and guys he treated well. They'll be like, "Oh yeah, welcome back, Vince. Good to see you." Other than that, I don't know. So, do you guys have any final thoughts before we wrap up this
Tri-
episode?
Triple H's disappointment.
Yeah, Triple H is apparently disappointed in some of the talent, which I mean, haven't really heard who that is. I'm gonna go with its Hit Row. We
Yeah,
won't
we don't
spend too
really
much
have
time on
many
this, but
names.
yeah, like he's brought guys like Strowman, Hit Row, Dakota Kai, Shirai. Well, Shirai was still with the company, but pretty much
Bray
brought him back
Wyatt?
on. Yeah, him too. I mean, I would just have to guess Hit Row because I mean, everybody saw that botch Top Dollar did on
That was
SmackDown the other day.
ridiculous.
Yeah, that. I mean, he claims his leg went out. I mean, maybe he's being true, maybe he's just saying something out of his ass so he don't look like an idiot. I don't know, but
Yeah.
I don't ever want to see him attempt that again.
That,
no.
what I have to say about this is just we're like, I feel like it's too early to say these are like there is a disappointing return right now.
Yeah, I mean, just gotta wait and see. So, QJ, what is your thoughts on Vince, or not Vince, but Triple H being disappointed in some of the returns? Tears, he was saying too early to
Uh,
tell. Do you agree with that, or do you think there's some that haven't really lived up to that being brought back hype that some of them had?
uh,
So,
yeah, I'd say they haven't been lived up yet to that height where they need to be. But yeah, still too early to tell.
yeah, I mean,
I
if
haven't
we'll
seen
Vince,
the
see.
potential I want to see. We just
but
seen
if
the
Vince
mid
is taking back
potential.
control,
Yeah,
then we probably never will.
yeah, exactly.
That is
Because he,
true. Hmm.
Because a lot
hopefully
of these
that's not the
returns were
case.
people he doesn't like.
Yeah, like,
Yep.
and then some fans are saying like, oh, we don't blame Vince for firing some of these guys because they suck. So, I mean,
And Bray Wyatt.
honestly, I've never been a fan of the Bray Wyatt story. I just think it's just how to put this nicely, just not interesting to me. I don't know what it is. It's just kind of just phony stuff to me. Just the darkness and the. I mean, I like the Fiend character, but it's just I don't know. Bray's whole gimmick and story is just not interesting to me personally. I mean, do y'all like the Bray story, or do y'all? I mean, he's feuding with LA Knight right now, and
I'm enjoying it personally.
It's all right.
yeah, it's all about what your cup of tea is. I mean, I wouldn't
I,
say
I
Bray's been a disappointment by any means. I mean,
Nah.
gotta kind of
I
gotta
see
see him in a match first. He hasn't really wrestled
Hmm.
or nothing yet.
that one's fair. For me, like if to thoroughly enjoy wrestling, you got to accept the goofiness too. And Bray Wyatt is one of those like he's one of those like you have to accept that a lot of the stuff could be goofy, like the mystic art stuff. Yeah, that's goofy, but that's what makes it fun, and I want to have fun more than like it makes sense.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah,
Makes
so like
sense.
with the Matt Hardy delete thing and everything, it's
Delete,
like,
delete.
Bro, we gotta rewatch the first final deletion match and give
oh
our
yeah, and
thoughts on
Impact,
that.
yeah,
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 Hmm.
definitely.
we gotta do something about that in the future.
Yeah, we definitely should.
Definitely.
So y'all have any final thoughts before we wrap this up? Anything about Vince or anything y'all want to say?
I think I accidentally did with the final deletion thing already.
Well, there you go. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment down below. We will see you guys in the next episode.
Bye bye.